we're talking about ADC, the new bride, the new bride that is all that is becoming another hub of controversy and what do I call it? A kind of back and forth. Barrister, Atiku's 2027 presidential election sparks exit fears for Obi and Rufai. You know, I told you last week we talked about this. Rufai's because of Rufai's intentions, evil intention, and to actually unseat his own focus is actually to unseat to make sure Tinubu is defeated. So Rufai definitely want to play. We want to be smart. You know, we talked about this thing. He will be. Rufai is a very smart person. To achieve his aim, he will want to go with a popular candidate. Of course, everybody knows that Peter Obi is more popular than Atiku. Peter Obi has political pedigree. He has political credentials and whatever, and integrity to much more, not even close, much more than Atiku. So, under normal, if it were before, we would have just thought that an Rufai will want to team up with Atiku. But in this case, Atiku's presence in ADC are probably his projection already. What he's planning to do is possibly trying to push Rufai and Peter Obi out of ADC. And yeah, there's a very germane question I would like to ask, but I just want to have I need you to have your take on this. Besides, I don't understand why is this surprise? I don't understand. Is this a surprise from Atiku that is making people? I don't get it. From the beginning, everybody knows Atiku's intention, and they know his interest. He never hid it. His body language, even though he never came out publicly to say, but his body language pointed to the fact that he is interested in contesting for the ticket. So what is the hula baloo about it? Why are people behaving as if Atiku wanted to play the godfather or a statesman role in ADC? He's there to take the ticket. Barrister.
You know, we have been discussing this possibility of an alliance to take out Tinubu for quite some time on your show. And I've always maintained that as long as the situation revolves around 2 or 3 principal characters, none of whom will give up that the right to contest for presidency. The coalition or alliance, whatever you call it, cannot be a challenge to Tinubu. And I've repeatedly given an example of 2015, where everybody lined up behind Tinubu. Behind Buhari. Already we are seeing the cracks in the alliance, because Peter Obi is not seeing his chance of emerging as the presidential candidate of ADC. And his followers will not sit and watch him be shunted aside. Now, Atiku Abubakar will not be a VP to anybody. He is not ready to give way. He's not ready to step aside and support some younger or other candidates. So that is the contradiction of this alliance. Atiku coming into ADC is a threat to Peter Obi, it's a threat to Amechi, it's a threat to any other person who wants to get the ticket of that party. Because they know that if it is the primaries, which under law, today in Nigeria, the electoral makes it compulsory for the candidate to emerge by primaries. They know if it is primaries, Atiku will take it.
Yeah.
So if you insist as that you want to contest 2027, and you see Atiku also say he's going to contest, you know your chances of clinching the presidential ticket of the ADC is very slim. So you have to have a backup. You have to have a backup.
Okay, that brings us that's the germane question I wanted to ask. What is the backup for Peter Obi? Because because I see a scenario where Peter Obi will be platformless, where there will be no because Labour Party of course Abure is still in charge, technically still in charge. So Labour Party, if he cannot contest on on the platform of Labour Party, and we have ADC now, obviously not PDP. I don't know what is Peter Obi's fate. Should this issue or this alliance with ADC collapses?
No, look, Peter Obi came out and made a statement that he has not resigned from Labour Party. People did not
Yes.
understand. They did not
We know
give
that. That's what I'm
importance to
saying.
that
But
statement.
it's not in control. His own faction is not in control in Labour of Labour Party.
No, at the last national executive meeting, chaired by Abure, Dati Ahmed went there, and I can bet you it was under instruction or agreement of Peter Obi. They want to have a way or at least maintain some level of respect and control of that part. That's why you saw Dati Ahmed going to that meeting, even referring to Abure as the national chairman, which has also ignited further issues in Labour Party. So you see, they are trying to um, have a way back, a fallback position. And there's no other fallback position apart from Labour Party. That's the truth. There's no other fallback position apart from Labour Party.
Then if
If
that is,
Obi should choose to go, if Obi should choose to go to SDP, where Rufai for now is, he will
but
be
even
totally at the
SDP
mercy of.
has rejected Rufai.
So the end result is that the only fallback position of Peter Obi is the Labour Party.
Now, if
That is why you see the rapprochement that they are trying to manage the crisis in Labour Party.
okay,
That Ahmed will never have dared to call Abure the national chairman.
okay,
He will
now,
never
okay,
have
hold
dared
on.
to
You've said
attend
that
that
before. Hold
national.
on. You are that's a repetition. Let me just go so that we move forward. Now, my point is, if eventually Labour Party is a fallback and Peter Obi falls back on Labour Party, what will that speak of him? Because it means that Abure eventually has won this fight. The Supreme Court, even in a very vague, even though it was vague, has actually declared technically that Abure is not supposed to be the chairman. That is in vague manner. Actually, you talked about the ambiguity of the Supreme Court judgment, but we all know what that judgment means. A sort of now, does that not come to that does not feed into the point of Peter Obi's criticism of leadership style, that if he could not manage the leadership quagmire in Labour Party, how can he manage Nigeria, as complex as Nigeria is? A sort of, how can he manage the Nigerian nation? A sort of. So my point is, if Peter Obi goes back to Labour Party and recognizes Peter Abure, just as that Babame, who I love so much, has for truly, just like you noted, for but that Babame to be in that meeting, of course, it was an agreement between him and Peter Obi, and for him to have referred to Abure as chairman of the party, wow, honestly, that is a slap on Peter Obi's leadership style or leadership capabilities, because it means that we are now coming back to where he was supposed to what he was supposed to do in the first place. You had this issue because that has been the criticism of the criticism from his antagonist, that this man would have, when this whole thing started, Peter Obi could have called the attention of called everyone to the table to discuss this and discuss it and have an amicable resolution on this, instead of this back and forth or whatever. Now they are coming back to recognize this man, Abure. Why didn't you settle this matter from the beginning? Why didn't you nip it in the bud? For God's sake. That is another sign of weakness in the side of Obi. On the side of Obi.
Well, those people who make that statement seem to forget that the crisis in Labour Party was apparently sponsored by the APC-led federal government.
It doesn't matter. That shouldn't be an excuse to fail as a leader.
Let me make the point. Sponsoring crisis in a political party means that you have almost got the principal actors who are causing the crisis in your pocket. It involves financial and other inducement methods. The crisis came to a point in the loss of election by Labour Party, so to speak. Now, if you are talking of Obi's failure to bring the party together after the election, you have to also consider the litigation and the post-election things that happened. There were legal and constitutional issues affecting the settlement. There were legal and constitutional issues affecting the settlement, and they were in court. At a point, you have to, immediately after the election of 2023, almost immediately, emphasis and focus shifted to 2027. It is not today that 2027 is being planned. Tinubu started planning 2027 immediately after he was sworn in. So the calculation has always been there. My take is that they have now seen that it is better to stabilize Labour Party, to allow Peter Obi to go there and stabilize it.
Okay.
And I'm sure what is happening, let me learn, I'm sure what's happening has the blessing of Tinubu. Because if Peter Obi should go back to Labour Party and split the alliance, he has no challenge anymore.
That's the question. That's
if
the
Peter
next.
Obi should go back and contest on the Labour Party, Atiku now contest on AGC. The fight is over.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to raise now. Now, obviously, if you said that what happened in the in Labour Party and what is happening there is still sponsored. So why would Peter Obi succeed on a platform that his enemy is sponsoring? That is dead on arrival the moment
he can't succeed.
That's the point. That's the point.
And remember in our last show, I said, you asked me and I said, for me, if I were Peter Obi, I will stay in the agency and fight it out. Because going back to your vomit,
honestly,
it's worse than
yeah, that is it. Honestly, yes. Honestly, in my own opinion, honestly, if Peter Obi goes back to contest on that Labour Party, his political career is also gone. That does he will not even perform.
Finished.
Yes, he won't perform as much as he did in 2023. That's just the reality, because going back to Labour Party will speak ill of his leadership qualities. That's just the truth. Honestly, in my own joy, if he does that, that means I will be on the side of his critics who said that this man could have taken care of what is the leadership problem in the Labour Party, instead of just searching for somewhere else to pitch his tent. I think his best option, just like you said, his best bet is just fight it out in. I know people. Look, there are people are especially Northerners. They are desperate to take out what's his name, Bola Tinubu.
Tinubu.
They are really desperate. So I believe that the power brokers in the north will prevail on what's his name, Atiku, to just come down, just step down. For my point is, I think what I'm suspecting is I see an Atiku being working comfortably with an Amechi than Peter Obi. What do you think about that? Do you see a scenario? Do you see a scenario where even if Atiku wants to step down, he would rather sponsor an Amechi than a Peter Obi?
Atiku is working and believes that his former ticket with himself and Peter Obi remains the best option. That is what he's working for. Trying to run with Amechi is even
not running. I'm not saying about running.
Politically.
I'm not talking about running with Amechi.
Atiku is going to run. He's not going to sponsor anybody. He's not the person that will sit back and sponsor anybody. I do not believe that anybody.
So you don't think that the northern political bloc will prevail on him to at least specify him to step down?
The northern political bloc are behind Atiku. That's the truth, and they want the ticket of Atiku and Peter Obi.
But you know that I know that Peter Obi can never be vice anymore, running mate.
That is the contradiction of the alliance. That is the contradiction of the alliance. I've spoken about it. Their preference is for Atiku to run with Peter Obi, thus bringing votes from the south, south, and southeast together with northern votes. That is the best chance of removing Tinubu. There's no other ticket that will stand even a little chance of removing Tinubu from power. And if left for me, look, politics in Nigeria is is winners take all. If you lose, you have lost. But if you continue, no matter what you have in the system, you are still relevant. If Peter Obi remains in ADC, and peradventure Atiku, as we expect, secures the nomination and gives him the vice presidential ticket, I would say he should accept it, because that is the highest benefit. That is the highest he can attain for now. If he does not accept it, he goes back to contest. He does not win, and he does not become anything. In Nigeria, becoming something in the politics is everything. Once you remain there, you remain relevant in the politics.
Yeah, well, okay. I understand that's your position, but honestly, if I were in his shoes, I'd rather just, if this ADC alliance does not produce me as the platform, the front runner or the candidate of the platform, I just resign. Look, do you know what it means for? Look, but this is a decision between the devil and the deep blue sea. Now you go to Labour Party. We're talking about Peter Obi now. Move that back to Labour Party. It will speak ill of your integrity and your principles. You remain in ADC and become a running mate to Atiku. It will also speak ill of your principles, because this same alliance is something that could have happened in 2023, but you pulled out based on principles. Now you want to come back to your vomit. That running mate, you were supposed to be, Atiku wanted you to be his running mate in 2023, and now you are coming back to become that same running mate. After you have become humongously popular. Peter Obi is the most popular politician in the history of Nigeria. Do you know why I say so? Because his own popularity is based on organic followership. It is natural and spontaneous. No politician. I don't know if you have a contrary opinion on this, but honestly, based on reality on ground, there is no politician, based on history, there is no politician that has garnered the kind of organic support like Peter Obi. So, that being said, he is the most popular politician in the history of Nigeria. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong, but we then have to ask the question, what is the whole intention? Now, if you argue that the whole intention is to remove Bola Tinubu from the presidency, then every other thing has to be submerged. Every other thing has to be suppressed. Every other inclination has to take a backseat for that singular purpose of removing Tinubu from power. But if that is not the most important consideration today, then we can talk of other things. But as long as the most important consideration is the
let's play along. Let's even assume, okay, that is the most important thing, just removing. The focus is take this man down. You think the Obidients will go with that? Even me will not vote for Peter Obi if such thing happens.
Will you vote for Tinubu then?
Of course, that is.
If today Atiku is running with Tinubu, Peter Obi and Tinubu ticket, who will you vote for? Who do you think the Obidients will vote for? They will not be very happy. They will not be so up and doing, but they will still vote for that.
Yeah, but there will be the enthusiasm will not be there. People will not come out.
There will not be much enthusiasm.
Yes.
There will not be much enthusiasm, but they will still vote for that ticket. They will not vote for Tinubu's ticket.
Anyway, the truth is that you and I have agreed that no matter what they do, Tinubu is just a run over. It's just a walkover. Tinubu will still be. So all these things we are just doing, even if they produce Peter Obi as the ADC or whatever, no matter the alliance, we have said it all. That Tinubu, the election that will take place in 2027 will be worse than we make the 2023 election a child's play because it will be literally be just writing of results. That's just it. Bola Tinubu will do that. That man does not have shame. He doesn't care
He
about
will
what.
do it, and everybody believes that he will do it. But even then, you still have to get some support to demonstrate, because the election is not just about Nigeria. The international community are watching.
They are
Other
watching.
people, the sensitivity of the Nigerian situation is there. So even if you are going to rig, you will still want to have support, to demonstrate support, so that you can argue that I have the support of the people.